And I think that's why when we started this interview, looking outside, seeing the sunshine and the garden starting to bloom and having just won off, a star after one hell of a slog getting this place open, there was that little bit of joy again, that little bit of hope, that little bit of ability to dream again, and I think, we're all dreaming. And
hello everyone, welcome back. This is the Birmingham Food Podcast that is breaking bread, hosted by food obsessed mates Liam and Carl. I'm Liam, that's Carl.
Oh yeah, what?
Apparently it's the London podcast now.
All right, geezer.
Keeping good, man, yeah?
Yeah, buzzing, really good.
Wicked.
How are you? Good?
Yeah, good, man, good.
There's a lot of good knocking around. That's good to know.
Yeah. But when my daughter goes judo, if the instructor asks them how they are and they say good, they have to do 5 press-ups. Just trying to get them to think of different words.
Right, we should probably do that. Although I ain't doing the fucking press-ups.
We ain't doing 5 press-ups, mate.
I think my days of press-ups are gone.
I don't know if I ever could do 5 press-ups. Maybe. Anyway, man, forget exercise. This isn't the exercise podcast. There's loads of them.
No. You're the wrong podcast for that.
Where you been eating? That's what people want to know.
Oh, mate, I'm not joking. I had one of the best nights out I've had in a long time the other night.
Yeah, it looked wicked. I followed it on the gram.
Yeah.
With everyone else.
It was so much fun. I went to Fox and Chance. Like, you've been there.
I love that place, man. It never gets a lot of mentions, really, but it's a cool place.
It's made some lists and some finals of like competitions and stuff, but I went and I loved it. They did all my favourite cocktails. I ordered stuff off menu, and then I got a bit drunk, so I started ordering stuff that I knew was hard to make.
Just making up stuff.
No, I was like, there's a cocktail called a New York Flip, which nowhere makes. So I thought, I haven't tried that in ages. Like, I'll see if they'll make that. And to be fair, they made it, and they made a good one.
How would you know if it's good or bad? Have you tried one before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, if you never tried it before, how do you know it's good?
Well, you taste it. If it tastes nice, it's good, ain't it? If you put it in your mouth, you're like, oh, that's fucking horrible.
Next question.
But no, it's great. All their own cocktails are great. Everything they did, the Irish coffee there, hands down, star of the show. Yeah. What an absolute superstar.
Is that on the menu?
Yeah, it's on the menu. And it's just incredible. It's absolutely perfect. It's one of the most perfect drinks I've ever had.
Wow, that is big praise.
Yeah, it was incredible.
You've tried most.
If it wasn't coffee, I probably would have had loads of them.
Yeah. Are you worried about your health?
No, I was just worried about like
sleeping that night.
Yeah, going to bed. I just don't think it would have happened if I'd had like 8 coffees.
Where did you go from there then?
Oh, mate. Like, Laggy's has always been good, but neither of us have been since Leo has took over the kitchen. And I swear to God, it was good. Now it's gone up another notch. Like, it was so good. Like, I could go into a dream state thinking about how good it was. Like,
mate, that carbonara, I think, is probably, you had the carbonara.
Yeah.
I feel like Luca, just give a plate of carbonara to every table that walks in, because that's probably my death row meal, that is.
Yeah. I had it carbonara. And I was like, this is possibly one of the best bowls of food I've ever eaten. Like, it was delicious. Yeah,
it is so good. I can't not order it. I'll keep telling myself I'm going to try other stuff when I go there, but I have to have that. To have that.
No, I'm the same.
With a side of pizza.
Well, when we go, I'm going to get that and pizza, I think. Because I didn't have a pizza when I was there last time.
The pizza's wicked. You had the pizza there before?
No, I haven't actually.
Pizza's good, you know. That was
the
OG, you know, like before we got really good pizza places. And we used to talk about needing pizza places in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Laggy's was like up there.
Already doing it.
Yeah, Laggy's and Otto with the OGs and Alicia's.
It's like proper Italian as well. It's like a little bit of like the smaller courses, but you get more. So you like your pasta dishes and your main course. That's like your second starter, if you will. And then you had like a meat course, and What did you have for the meat? A lamb.
Oh, you had the lamb. Like that. That looked wicked as well. I've seen loads of pictures of that, and quite a few people had it, didn't they?
Yeah, lamb with asparagus. Oh.
Siobhan had the fish.
Yeah, she had the cod. It was incredible.
Yeah, it looked great, that did. Fair play, they're definitely stepping it up then.
Yeah, and the manager there's great. Luca's great. Leo's great. Like, just the The alcohol was brilliant. The martini was fantastic. Like, you know me, I love a martini. And just, yeah, if you haven't been, or you haven't been since Leo's been there, then just book up and go because it's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm sorry. We're looking at play times we can go already. Like, it's a good place because I can take Neve as well. It's not like you can just have to go as adults. You can take the kids.
Yeah, you can go early and take kids and stuff and still
that's
have a
what
great time. It's not like a stuffy fancy. Well,
We've
it's
been
fancy,
before,
but
just
it's
went
not
to the
a stuffy
cinema,
place.
Broadway Plaza, and then just walked down to Laggy's and had lunch. It was a nice day out, like,
Yeah.
the three of us.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely. It was in dreamland.
I've been double Herbert Yard. I feel like I'm going heavy on street food at the minute. I don't know why. I'm definitely. I tell you what it is. South Birmingham Curry Club, like the nicest people in the world. Two
I haven't
blokes,
tried it yet.
mate. They're so nice, and they're always like giving us loads of shouts and support on social media. So I thought I'm gonna make a real effort to get down to whenever they were next to Herbert's. I'll get down there and try their food. Went down. Oh mate, I had the kebab. I feel like the kebab was their original thing, so I tried that.
Yeah.
But they gave me a little pot of the vampire killer curry, man. You would love that.
Oh,
you
is it
love
nice?
You love your curry on the garlic side, like
Yeah, garlic and hot, man. If it's garlicky and hot, I'll eat it.
slow roasted garlic. I can't remember how many cloves he said. A ridiculous amount, like stupid amount. Obviously, vampire killer, but
Yeah.
man, just two blokes just following their passion, following their dream, and like you can tell with how quickly they've only been doing it a year, and they've already made a massive name for themselves. Like really, really nice guys. So I was like, definitely going to Herbert's and getting some of that. Got some wings. Which
Greedies again.
No, that wasn't Greedy's that time. That was Gertz that time.
Oh, that was Gertz. I was thinking of the last time.
Lost in translation wings, Thai wings. They were class.
Yeah, they look massive as well.
And I was eating them and I was thinking, fucking hell, when Carl sees this, he's going to be laughing his bollocks after I've
Like
gone and got
turkey wings. They were
Mate,
massive.
I've never seen wings that big before. I've never, ever. Yeah, and then I went for the close-up comedy night as well. Angelus, can't say his second name, not even going to try.
Efethimu.
There we go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Lindsay Santori was the support act from Northfield, mate. She was class. Blew the roof off. Everyone was howling. It was class. And Greedy's. What's not to love, mate? Greedy's wings, comedy, beer, good night out. Class, mate.
Sounds
class.
awesome. Have you been anywhere else?
Well, yeah, funnily enough. I went for a little gander round. I was off for a week off work, so I thought I'm going to go to the bakery, Hampton Manor. Obviously, this episode is with James and Fiona.
Yeah.
Amazing people. Hampton Manor, what an incredible place. This feels like a three-parter, really, because we've got like two preludes. So you could go back and listen to the one with Grace and Saver. You can listen to the one with Toffs. So, like, they both kind of give you a bit of background and insight into Hampton Manor, and then this one, or listen to this one, and then go back and listen to them two after. And you get the full story then from three angles, and they're all still friends. It's all nice.
Oh, mate, we sat in Grace and Saver, where we've obviously been a couple of times now, just won a Michelin-starred and completely deserves it. Like, it's a phenomenal place.
I love the place.
Beautiful inside. We just recorded this podcast and it was great. Like, we've met them, well, I've met them a few times now.
Yeah.
And like, because our paths crossed a lot and stuff like this, but they are genuinely really nice people. Like,
Very
so
down to
kind.
earth.
Yeah. Like, not what you'd expect from the owner of such a big site with so many restaurants and stuff like that. You don't expect them to be so like relaxed and cool about stuff.
No. So I just thought I'd take an opportunity to go down and have a little wander around the grounds. And I don't know if you're meant to do this, so don't go off just wandering. I was ready to say to anyone that challenged me, I was going to say, oh, it's all right. I know James. I know the owner. I was going to drop that bomb, but everyone was so nice. I didn't even have to. Everyone was just acting like it was completely normal. I was having a little wander around and went to the bakery. Oh, man. That bakery is incredible. It says in the podcast that it's starting to make a bit of a name for itself. I can see why. Like the croissants. Oh, incredible. Incredible, mate. Had the ham and cheese. Wicked. I think Neve had the pan of chocolate. She loved it. I mean, what kid kid doesn't?
Every child on the planet's
Nice coffee. Yeah, it was awesome, mate. And then we went to meet Stu Daly walks in. Obviously, the amazing Stu.
Another podcast. So we've done like everyone at Hampton Manor now been there.
We should definitely go back and do another one with Stu, catch up on his story. Nice guy. Well, everyone knows. You don't need us. You've seen him on the telly. Nicest guy ever.
Yeah. There's a podcast with him you go back and listen to.
Yeah. So this is just brilliant. Like, absolutely loved it. Love catching up with James and Fiona.
Yeah.
just a great episode. Again, another great episode.
You know what struck me the most is how much they care about people that go there and the experience like every single person that goes there has.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
They like really care.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Loads of insight if you're a business owner. Again, we try and pack some of that in as well, not just give you a behind the scenes look at how things are run. There's a lot of talk about just food in general, restaurants in general as well.
Yeah, places they've been, like it's more of a chat than anything else.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you all enjoy. Yeah, let's get cracking.
Get moving.
Yeah, we're recording. We're going.
Ready to roll.
Welcome to Breaking Bread. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
You.
How are you both doing?
Brilliant. Yeah, the sun is shining and the garden looks amazing, like it's about to burst into life, which is, we've been looking forward to that for a while. It's been a bit barren. So
Well, after all the rain last week and then the sunshine this week, it's surely perfect, isn't it?
yeah, bit of hope for the future after a horrible winter. I think it's been a bit miserable for everyone, hasn't it, the winter? Doom and gloom for everybody.
Feels that
Don't
way,
watch the
doesn't it?
BBC.
I just quickly realised that this is audio, so that people can't see that we're facing this stunning garden here, like this walled garden at Hampton Manor.
Yeah, we're sitting in the restaurant there, Grace and Savour, and you can see out onto where a lot of the food that they sell here grows. These massive, is allotment the right word?
It used to be allotments when we first moved here. We moved here in 2008, and some people from the village had about half the garden, and they were growing food on it. And they used to have a nice little barbecue together, and it was a nice little community. And half the garden was completely overgrown. And back then, we had a dream, but we were never able to touch this for about 10 years. And then just before lockdown, we finally got to work on bringing all of this back to life. So
They were the best value allotments ever. £10 a year for a patch.
A year?
Yeah.
Wow.
it was very good.
Bargain.
Very good deal, wasn't it? Yeah.
2008 feels like a lot of stuff was a lot cheaper in 2008.
Definitely.
Seems like a
allotments
dream
were.
now. You look at like restaurant menus and you're like, no, they didn't used to cost that.
Yeah. McDonald's is still good value though. So.
Yeah, that's not far off what it was, to be fair. No, they're doing all right.
I think you have to kind of worry.
Definitely a
though.
place inside work there. McDonald's was my first job, so
You have to worry if it's still the same price as it was in 2008.
Yeah, what are they doing? So let's
What
be
they're putting
clear.
in it.
So everyone knows Hampton
Yes.
Manor encompasses a lot of
does.
different businesses. So do you
Yeah.
want to take us through what we've got here?
Yeah, we've got. Well, it started off as the main manor house, 15 bedrooms, and really kicked off as a wedding sort of business originally, and a lot of corporate. But we were super passionate about food and started the little seed of a restaurant dream, which eventually came to fruition in sort of 2016 when we got Peel's restaurant across the line with its first Michelin star, and we'd sort of been nurturing that side of the business, and that allowed us to become much more of a foodie estate. So now we've got Smoke, which is really casual and relaxed. Stuart Dealey, who won MasterChef at one end of our wall garden, running a restaurant. And then Grace and Savour at the other end, which is much more of a kind of longer, immersive tasting menu experience with its own bedrooms. And the Manor House has got a lot more leisure guests coming now, sort of visiting the restaurants, visiting the garden. And of course, we got a little bakery. So that's another little mini business in its own right. And lots of reasons to come. We still do events. We still do, weddings and parties and corporate things as well. But much more now about being a destination for foodies.
Well, I mean, that all sounds fantastic, but how stressed must you be?
Yeah. You can see the bold spot here. That's been harder over the last few years, and now Fiona picks up much more of the stress than I do. You're running a lot of the parts of the team that are very demanding at the moment, aren't you?
yeah.
It's
That tells you anything. The stress level.
a busy business.
It is.
Fiona's designed everything at Hampton Manor, and you also really do all the marketing and sales at the moment. So
Well, they ran out of things for me to design, so he's put me to work now. So I'm now in the sales office.
yeah. So creative director and temporary sales director.
But I think that's the thing with when it's family run business, you just do whatever you need to do whenever it needs to be done. So like during lockdown, I packed boxes for Peels on Wheels, and
you built Peels on Wheels, didn't you?
Yeah.
Almost solo at first, and then then the professionrovers helped take
the
it
logistics side, and then the professionals
and the
our crew.
marketing.
We had Rob was great at it, and then I had to sort the logistics out. But yeah, we'll plug in wherever we need to do family business. So you're kind of doing all sorts. I'm on the call centre now.
What's your kind of background, Fiona?
I used to be a doctor.
Oh, wow.
So when you bought this, I was doing my first year as a doctor, wasn't I?
You were. We were only 26, weren't we? We got married at 22, and we were 26 when we started this project. You were working as a doctor, and
I was stuck in Manchester and Old Trafford. Again, a family business where we didn't outsource much, so I had to do the interior design. So I'd be in my doctor's accommodation, most dire accommodation ever, just surrounded by fabric swatches, trying to design this place in between on calls. So I did 2 years as a doctor, but really wanted to do something creative. So I left to become a photographer and did a master's in photography and photojournalism. And then after we'd set up this, I basically got headhunted to do an interior design job. So I thought, I'll try that for a year. And then eventually, James, you got down on your knees one day, didn't you?
I did in New York.
And proposed to me a second time and said, please come and work for us full time.
In the Museum of Modern Art, I begged her to come and work in the business full time.
Almost more romantic than the actual marriage. The thing is, you can't say no to James. Like, he is literally the most persuasive person. Anyone who's worked with him will know, because he always persuades them to do things that they never thought they'd say yes to. And hence why I started working full-time for Hampton Manor.
That's great for running a business opposite.
He is. He sells you the dream. He's very good at it. That's why I married him.
Did you do any like formal qualifications in design or interior design?
No. Not a clue. Literally, I'd put up one wall of wallpaper in our first house, and it wasn't even very good wallpaper. In fact, it was quite dire wallpaper.
And then you've had lots and lots and lots of practice. So
yeah, I think that's the thing with design. It's just like lots of same with chefing, isn't it? It's like lots of room for failure, so you can repeat.
I think Fiona's science and medical background, one of her strengths is she's really strong on pattern recognition and pattern, and she sees that in interior wise, and has this ability to bring together things that just no one else would have the courage to bring together, but she brings them together and in quite a courageous way, and it creates a really interesting look. So you've had the fun of Hampton Manor being your playground, really, haven't you?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not proud of the first refurb, but it was literally my first ever attempt. I just knew I didn't want everything beige. But I think it's really interesting with creativity like that, isn't it? It's what's the formula for creativity? How do you develop creativity? Whereas that's a chef, an accountant, a kind of designer. How do you develop systems to support creativity? Yeah, I think there's lots of lapovers between design and food, and
I suppose you've got that element of you can't just do it for what you want it to look good as well. Like you've got to think what other people are going to like.
How's it going to be received?
Yeah,
I think a lot of that for you has been about getting to the story of each place, isn't it? Like Hampton Manor is actually very different to Grace and Savour, and even the cottage, although it's
smoke's really different. Like each space is really different, but very satisfying that they each carry their own ambience. I think that hopefully elevates the experience for the diner and the food.
The difference between sat here and sat smoke, like they're very different buildings. I mean, was smoke that was like a barn or something? Or?
It was just it's the old furnace house that used to heat the greenhouses. So that's why in the summer you can dine in the Victorian greenhouses, and in the winter we sort of tuck everybody inside. But it was leaking for 10 years when we were here. There was a big hole in the roof. It was just a gardener's building, and we never planned to open smoke. It was a complete accident. It was a post-lockdown we had to completely reimagine the business because we didn't have any weddings, we didn't have any corporate business. We had to become a destination for couples. So we created a first night in the greenhouses and down in the garden, and then a second night tasting menu in the Manor House at Peel's. So we put together those two very different experiences, and then threw in wine tasting and other really nice little bits and bobs along the way, workshops with some of our makers like the baker, and made it a real experience. And that's how we responded to coming out of lockdown. And we used to say back then, you have an acre per couple, because it was 45 acres. And, you know, we basically created enough space for everybody to have social distancing on the estate. And
so you took the 2 meters to a bit extreme.
We did. Yeah. Who needs 2 meters when you can have an acre? And we had the best time of, I probably will look back in my life and career as those months afterwards. I mean, they were golden times. Customers were so grateful. They loved coming here. And we just got to do the only thing we love doing, is creating experience. And, you know, I was doing the wine tastings. You were hosting guests, weren't you? Like we were really immersed in the experience. We created just a completely new sort of passage, and we had a newspaper for every guest that came, which sort of heightened expectation. And it was really a program. You were here for 2 days and we guided the guests for 2 days. It's very difficult with an estate this size to keep doing that, because we need other revenue to ultimately, as the business gets back to normal, to pay the bills. But back then it worked really well with furlough and rates relief, and we were just in our absolute sweet spot.
And we're probably idealists at our hearts, aren't we? So like I would just love a curated program for everything. That's the way I think. But it was such an unusual time, I think, in terms of the way guests were. They were so, like you said, the gratefulness level was so different. And it was, although we said like an acre per person, it was the most sociable we've ever seen our guests as well. There was something about, I think, the sense of isolation everyone was feeling, that when they came together again, you know, strangers really became friends. And I think, you know, we've lost that a bit of a Western society. Even like the whole thing of going to the pub every week and kind of getting to know community there. Like it doesn't, we're too busy in our lives anymore, aren't we? I always find myself like thinking, do I have time to stop to talk to this person? Will I get back to the children? It's like all those things are running through my head. I think we valued that stop time so much during that, and people were coming together and they were genuinely curious. They had time to be curious again. And that's, for us, it's the beauty of hospitality, is to open up people's curiosity. I mean, what's the point in going to all this length and effort that the chefs go to kind of, you know, source, develop, fine tune, if people aren't going to be curious about it as well? Like the best hospitality for us is like it's an exchange. It's not a gift just put on. It's like it's a gift back as well. It was just an untold time, I think. There was
definitely lots of couples that left as friends, and the Times said it was like house party vibes, and you know, we got some really nice comments in the press, I think, through that experience. And it was just, I mean, probably one of our other highlights is when we once did, when we first converted the cottage, because we've got a gorgeous 4-bedroom cottage, which we can see from here where we're sitting at Grace and Savour. And it's got gorgeous space downstairs and a big communal table. And we once ran a supper club with James Goodyear. James Goodyear was, after that, later on went and joined Adams as head chef, and is now in London at 11. How do you say it? 11's his table, and he's just retained a Michelin-starred there. It's a tiny little counter concept, but he hosted a series of communal dinners in that space, and people came from all over Birmingham, and we really enjoyed something quite different, wasn't it, as an experience on the estate. So I
think we kind of tend to quite like that kind of, I suppose, a bit of a social experiment. Not in the sense that it goes wrong, but it's almost mildly pushing people out of their comfort zones, because I think often people actually they wouldn't take it up if you kind of took it as a suggestion, a marketing thing or something like that. But actually when they enter in it, they realise, like I remember one couple saying to me, they said, you know, so often we go out for a meal and it's just a meal, regardless of how good the food is. But you're done in a couple of hours, and then you go home. They said, and they came to the supper club, and it was, they ended up around the fire pits with all these people they'd never met, talking to people they'd never met, and which, as British people, right, like that feels a little bit awkward, right? But they were like, we never knew we'd enjoy it so much, and it's like, this has made a complete memory for us. Like, it will stand out. And I think that's the interest. We went to Mausch, didn't we? And that was really interesting as well.
Yeah, Mausch was in Shoreditch, had a 1-star. It was launched by Nuno Mendes, and it was a communal table, and it was we actually went with Rob, didn't we?
We went
with Rob
Craig,
and a few of the team. And we ended up, Fiona had a couple of designers, or it was a marketing sort of company, wasn't it, called Here Designs. And
I was just like, they're amazing.
We'd always wanted them to do our branding. And the most bizarre thing was the couple that we sat next to were the founders of Here Designs. And we were in this restaurant. So we ended up back in their club afterwards, and we were there till 3 a.m. and ended up having to get a taxi and abandon the train that we'd booked. And it was but it all started with this communal table. And they had this, what was brilliant about Mausch was very, very clever. They said, the guy said at the beginning of the night, he said, dinner's around this table, but you can go wherever you want, and we'll bring the food to you. So he created this sense of permission and freedom, so you didn't feel like if you didn't want to talk to the person next to you, you didn't have to be there. The only other place to go was a tiny little wine room or to the kitchen. So the truth was, you weren't really going to go anywhere else, but you kind of felt this freedom and this informality about the experience. And they didn't realize, being in hospitality, that we would end up everywhere else. And I think one of our other directors was found in the pot wash a bit later, having a good chat to the guy who was washing the pots. But yeah, we had an amazing night there. It probably is up there with some of the most extraordinary experiences we've had actually eating. And we've done a lot of dining around the world, but it was very,
the
very
chef,
special.
he just
Such
had a beautiful heart, didn't he? I can't remember his name.
Eduardo, I can't remember his surname, but
he was, when you went in, like, he was so humble that at first you thought he was just a commie waiter or something like that. And he looked young as well, which probably was part of the thing. But he kind of introduced everyone, like got everyone around the kitchen path and kind of welcomed everyone. But like, I've never really our chefs now are really good like that. And but it was unusual to see a chef greet you with such warmth and genuineness. And he came around the table a few times and chatted, and I was just like, he really transformed the experience as well. He was really beautiful.
He asked great questions.
Great questions.
It wasn't about him. Like, from the moment you got there, his eyes were up. He was asking you questions. He was talking to the guests, and he was genuinely interested in the people in the room, which I think, that's a level of confidence. And at the same time, he was doing like Michelin-starred canapes, like building them. And there were only 3 or 4 chefs in that kitchen because it was the smallest little kitchen going. But yeah, it was actually aesthetically had sort of some similarities probably to Grace and Savour, with the sort of clay walls and beautiful. I'm sure they have the sort of similar style of chair. They had a
but I think they've but interestingly, after COVID, they've gone back to
tables of 2. They've gone all together now. It's no longer there at all now.
It was an amazing experience. One of my real standouts.
It's true, isn't it? People, they buy into experiences, having a good time, great night out. They don't go for just having great food's not enough. Great drinks just not enough, I don't think.
What's been your favourite experiences? Not necessarily dining, but just like an experience which is just like maybe taking out yourself.
Sounds like you boys are festival boys. Right? Sounds
We've been to a lot of
Are there any festivals that have done it a bit differently? Or
You know what? The first time I went to Glastonbury was the best. We've been to a lot of festivals. Glastonbury was the first time was good. The second time I sort of felt very differently about it. I think it's a much better festival you first go.
Yeah. When everything's fresh and new.
Yeah.
And then you don't have any expectations you're bringing to it.
And the second time you're like, where sort of, no one ever really knows everywhere they're going in Glastonbury. It's ridiculous. But there's a whole vibe there, and it just, everyone's on this exact same wavelength. It's very hard to have that many people, all of different genres and different
Yes.
musics, all on the exact same wavelength, no matter what. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But that's a big standout.
And maybe that's what it was post-COVID.
I
Was
think it
like,
was.
people definitely were just all in it for the same reason, you know, and they were sharing something, which was really, really
You still
nice.
sit here, I think. Like, I think, especially at the weekends, when most people come, they are doing our 2 nights there, where basically they dine and smoke on the first night, and then they dine and grace and savour. I mean, we ate the other night, didn't we? And it was on a Saturday night, and you could see people like, greeting each other as they kind of entered the room. They'd obviously made a connection, and
that's nice.
yeah. So
I
it's
was
good
going
to
to
see.
say, have you always realised that is what hospitality should be, is experiences? Or
I think my parents bought a pub when I was 4, and it changed our life as a family. Like, Mum was the chef, Dad was pulling the pints and running the bar, and he'd been traveling the world as a design engineer with John Lang's, laying pipelines all around the world. So this was a completely new life for us, but it was a proper pub. You know, it was a proper community. You know, you look back at the New Year's Eves, you used to dress up, used to do Beaujolais, we'd all have garlic round our necks, and you know, it was a lot of social side to it. And I
You
think
used to have Sunday lunch every week, didn't you, with all your team?
we did a long table every Sunday lunch with the
And they
team
play-
after service had finished as a family, and all the staff would stay. It was just
And
incredible.
then you'd play cricket after, and
Yeah,
like, it was a different era.
and probably that some of that's what drew me back into hospitality. And I think, you know, as we've ended up in the Michelin star end of dining, I think we've seen how it's easy to lose that, very easy to lose that, for it to become about the meal or about about something other than the fundamental human thing that we're there to connect. And connection is such an important part of, I think, of what hospitality is there to do. And we've tried to deformalize always, like Peels, we dressed the staff very casually. We made it but it was very hard to beat the building. The building was, you know, you're in this old sort of Gothic style building, beautiful and, you know, lovely building, but very hard for people not to come in and feel a little bit intimidated, or maybe just a bit arrogant, like, oh, I'm the king of the castle, you know, and actually lose like what it's all about. I think being down in the garden, we've found we've moved the center of energy in our business towards the garden, because it's something very disarming when you're growing food and you're walking around talking to people. Everybody sort of drops their guard a little bit. It's like they're kids again, you know, and it suddenly, like, people find it a lot more natural to connect. And I think both our restaurants now revolve around the garden, because I think it has that ability to kind of just make everyone relax. You know, Grace and Savour is a 15-course menu. Sounds intimidating, but you're connected very much to the land, to the growing. The chefs are coming out, the cooking's done in front of you, and smoke is so rustic that people feel very relaxed. So we've managed to kind of escape the castle a little bit, and now the manor house is the house you hang out in to come down for these experiences, and you enjoy the lounges and the drinks and the cocktails up there, and then you come down and venture down here for the bakery and the garden experience. So I think, you know, what inspired us about hospitality when we were younger was the human side of it, and I think we're always working to get back to that kind of connection piece.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I suppose in my heart, I'm probably just like a big kid, so it's the experiences for me are kind of something that takes me out of my day-to-day. It takes me out of my kind of fixed way of thinking. It opens something up, I think. Like, for me, the best experience leads to wonder. Like, I remember sitting down with Grace and Savour just several weeks ago, and it's very rare, actually, having eaten lots of places, like, to kind of think, how's that come together? What are the stories from the garden, the farmers? How's that, like, and just to feel really grateful again, because I think we're so like we're so consumerist these days, aren't we? And everything's got a trip review, and we basically Google everything, don't we? Yeah. Best this, best
Yeah.
best table in London or
Forgetting
whatever.
that a lot of
Like,
these lists people have paid to get on the
Yeah.
list a lot of the time.
but it's also that feeling like I've just got to get the best value because this is a. And so I don't know. I think it's quite rare for us to kind of enter in, kind of seeking to appreciate. We kind of enter in, kind of checking off, did I get what I deserve, kind of thing. And yeah, I just increasingly just want someone to take me away from that mindset and to take me off on a different path.
I think the reason I ask is a lot of people open a restaurant, they think if they just do the best food, then that's it. It's going to be a roaring success. Everyone's going to love it. And it's just not the case.
I think that's a really thing I find quite intriguing about interiors, because it literally is setting the table. Like when you go into smoke, you sense something that is buzzy. It's kind of it's obviously stripped back. You know, you've got brick floors, brick walls. Everyone's casual. I always think when you go in there, especially if you kind of arrived at the Manor House, which is quite grand, you kind of metaphorically just take your tie off and unbutton your shirt, don't you? It's
Not
that kind of
anyone
feeling.
wears a tie at the Manor.
No one wears a tie at the Manor, but like it's that feeling of kind of like I've taken off the responsibility load or whatever is weighing on me at the moment. And then when you and you're kind of, it's for me, it's that kind of best friends get together, out loud laughing, a bit raucous. Kind of feeling when you go into smoke. It's high energy. The cooking is punchy. It's flavoursome. And, you know, Stu's, you know, he's got tattoos all over himself. He sets the soundtrack. It's him. It's really him. And then down here in Grace and Save, you walk in and people immediately say, oh, I just feel so calm. And again, that's really reflective of David and Netta here. They lead with a really quiet warmth. Completely different. But you kind of like, you anticipate what you're about to eat in a different way when the experience is set from the beginning, I think.
But with Grace, that was our, I mean, this was always an immersive experience that we imagined, wasn't it? So the guests arrive, if they're staying, they arrive at 3:00. David greets them. They have their first bite of the menu at that moment. So you heighten anticipation at that moment. And then David takes you on a tour of the garden to show you what's growing or talk about the ethos. And then the rooms, every lounge, for every bedroom has a lounge at the front looking over the kitchen. So the vision was always like, from the moment you've got back to your room, you're still connected to that build up. And then your whole experience revolves really from the moment you arrive to the moment you leave around the kitchen. And that was intentional, really. We wanted to design an immersive experience, something that just completely takes you to another place and
I think it was
you.
also because like we obviously like to do a bit of research ourselves, like to go and stay. And like when you're in the industry, it often feels like you get a little bit of a backstage pass. Like you get to maybe meet the chef or something like that. But even with that, it was so hard to get underneath the story, especially when you're kind of reading about the experience. And often like the most immersive place is the website. And then you arrive, but you never get behind the scenes. And we just thought, you know, actually the best holidays are always the bit where you kind of get under the skin of things, or you find that little bar that no one's ever heard of that only the locals know. It's that kind of feeling that you remember. So we thought, why leave this open to chance? Why don't we try and design it in so that you are having that connection with the chef? So I mean, that's for our diner stays. I mean, just to be clear, that we do dinner only. There seems to be a massive misconception that you can only come and dine and stay, but we obviously we have tables as well. And then for people who just come for dinner, we always just say like, what do you want to hear? Like, we are here, we can tell stories all day long, but it's also your moment. If you don't want to hear, you know, it unveils.
Not everyone wants, you know, that connection with the story and the stuff, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, but it's been built for that, and the team are beautifully confident in their in the producers, in the relationships, for a long time we've been really connecting deeply with our wine makers, and we really try to represent a movement of winemakers that are working naturally and organically, and there's a real honesty to how they work, and that comes across hopefully from, we've got some fantastic people on the floor telling those stories, as well as the chefs telling the story of the food. It is an experience to engage with if you want to get the most out of it.
I feel like the tasting menu just completely reflects David's story as well. It does a great job of sharing like his ethos and his thoughts on sustainability.
Yeah.
And we went like heavily into that in our podcast with David. But
Yeah.
how soon did David come on board? Like, did you design this place? Because this is the perfect setting for his.
Definitely was designed for him.
Yeah. We met David a long time ago. We met David at the very beginning of our journey, really, and had followed his story. So, when he was back at Pinnell's, we'd become friends with him, and we actually dined at Maimo, and he was there. I can never say that name of that restaurant very well. Maimo, however you wish to say it. We dined there together, and I had 2 stars. And I actually went back with my dad when they'd won the 3rd star. So we saw David through that journey. And actually, John Bluck, who is now our head chef under David. David's now chef director. John Bluck's head chef. John was part of the team that won a star at Peel's, and he'd gone out and worked at Maimo with David, and then travelled to Australia. So we'd followed and tracked that journey, and it was actually the middle of lockdown. You've obviously had Robert Palmer on this show, and Robert was the foundation of building Peel's. He was the one that won the star for Peel's in 2016. But we sat down sort of at lockdown, and I think we both knew we'd come as far as we could together. Rob knew he had his own project in him, and I probably had a slightly different vision for this space than he had. And so we kind of amicably agreed that Rob would go start his first venture, and we would take this building, which was originally going to be the home to Peel's. We were going to move Peel's down here. And I sent David a video of the garden, and I said, do you fancy coming to run this project? And within about 48 hours, he talked to all of his friends. Him and his wife, Annetta, had discussed it in depth. And they came and said, we didn't even talk money. We didn't even talk salary. And we're coming. And they were in.
You'd previously been to Norway, and Annetta had said to you, you're not having him.
Yeah. She'd warn me off. But even when she saw the video of the garden and the space, she was like, at that point, it was a building site. And we had the opportunity to begin to kind of reimagine with David. He was here about 9 months before we opened. And the whole point of that was that we wanted him to be able to build the supply chain before we opened, because we knew that this restaurant we wanted it to have more integrity in terms of the supply chain than any restaurant we'd ever been to, because there's a lot of talk. But David has genuinely visited so many of the suppliers he works with. With me, we've done trips together, with John, with Annetta, and my sister was very pioneering as well at that point in the business. She's a doctor, and she specializes in looking at food as medicine. So she had a lot of relationships with progressive farmers. And she opened a lot of doors for us to connect with those farmers. And
I find that fascinating, because a lot of the farmers David and John work with, they don't like to work for restaurants, because restaurants typically would say, I want this much steak and they have to deliver every single week. And that's the whole tension with the sustainability. I'm sure David talked about this. And what Sally did, so Sally's James's sister, former GP, but as she starts to look at food as medicine, she's really started to understand it's not just what we're eating, but it's how it's grown. And the farmers loved her. So she was given so much credibility to the pioneering work they're doing. Because I think it's really difficult, because I think we've gone from this era of kind of organics and all that kind of thing being a bit hippie-ish, bit on the fringe. And actually it's understanding, oh goodness, we are decimating our planet, and it's got to become mainstream. If it doesn't become mainstream, we're in trouble. So Sally's she speaks on the BBC, and she's an amazing communicator. But she forged a lot of these relationships with farmers and built the trust levels for a chef to be able to enter in. Because I think one of them said to her, I think she went to speak to Kate at Slow Food and said, should I work with this restaurant? I'm like, I don't know. We never work with restaurants. Is it all just like corporate kind of CSR green ticket? It was really interesting because Kate said, cut them down the middle and they bleed it. So and that's mostly been because Sally's pioneered a lot of the relationships. So it enabled David and Netta almost to have all these leads. They spent a year before they opened being able to travel around all these farms. And that was a beautiful, luxurious time in some senses. I mean, how rare does a chef ever have that time to go and do that and actually build the relationships? I don't think it's because chefs aren't interested. I think it's just the pace of the kitchen just doesn't allow them.
You need a year to build the foundations of your restaurant, and there are chefs doing that have done that. There's some amazing projects out there, I think, now where chefs have had that opportunity, and they're few and far between. But where it's happening, it's very exciting.
But it's really hard on most kitchens and restaurants to be able to move into that space because they're up against the bills, aren't they? And to get into analyze and change is it's hard on them.
But you kind of got not instant but nearly instant fruition with what happened just over a week ago.
Yes, yeah. It was a great moment to see that. I mean, it's a great moment to see any chef win a Michelin star, and when what they've been through. Like, I've tracked with David's career, and it is punishing. When you look at like the yards that people put in other professions, I do think chefs have got it incredibly hard. And when they get to that moment where in their own right they're pulling on a jacket with a Michelin star on it, and they've got something across the line as big as that, it's really, really, it's a special moment. It was a fantastic night. We were at Silverstone, and you're sitting there not sure. You're there for a reason, but you're not 100% sure whether they're gonna call you up. But when that star goes up on the screen and it says Grace and Savour, it is like a moment of relief, because I think there's a lot of investment gone into this project, and it has been built to be a destination restaurant, a special restaurant, and we were delighted for David and for Annetta. And, Annetta has absolutely put 100% of her heart into this, never worked in hospitality before, and is very much part of, the two of them making this happen. So, she was as delighted and as deserving. Really, they should have had 2 chef's jackets that night. But
I mean, I think that's the amazing thing about someone Annetta, someone with no experience, but it just carries a spirit of hospitality. I was talking to Tom Shepherd at the awards, and I was asking him how he recruited and brought his team, and he said a lot of his team, they're not hospitality backgrounds, and he's kind of almost hired on personality, because actually I think you can teach hospitality people, but you've got to have an innate spirit that and loves welcoming people, making people feel at home. I think we should do more of that. I've spoken to quite a few restaurateurs who seem to have a gift in recruitment, and often they're not hiring typical hospitality backgrounds. They're just hiring people who love people.
Yeah, nearly every episode someone says, we just hire an attitude, actually.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time at top restaurants as well. But going back to the star, I was watching it on YouTube. My wife, I was cooking dinner at the time. My wife thought I was watching the football, because when I seen him, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I was sitting there with my camera. I was like, come on, I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to take a photo of these.
Was there anyone else you enjoyed getting a star particularly?
This was like, I don't know, because a lot of places already had them when we started doing this podcast and got interested. So this was like the first place we'd sort of come before it had a star and knew the people behind the scenes and really cared about it actually getting a star.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Speaking to Dave, so speaking to Dave, it's infectious. You hear like his whole story, and you just root for him, don't you, from day one? Because he feels like the kind of guy you need to root for, because I don't think he roots for himself too much,
But it's the first time I've watched the Michelin ceremony.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But I think
it's the first time for years, isn't it?
I think this feels like the start of something now. I feel like maybe 1 star's the least of it. I mean, I know you probably are going to be too modest to say, but it definitely feels capable of way more.
With 2 and 3 stars, it's a different. It's something that has to happen to you. You can try and pursue it all you want. It only comes if some magic happens that's beyond your control. Really, we've put the right conditions in place, and I think getting Peel's to its first Michelin star was about creating the right safety and the right mentality in the kitchen team where they were able to cook consistently and the numbers were sensible. Grace and Savour has got the right foundation, and David's got the right background. There's the right story here, but all those things, all that magic has to come together when the inspectors come, and they need to see what we believe is here. I personally definitely believe this is a restaurant that's built to be able to do that. It's had the passion, the love, but there's a lot of restaurants that don't necessarily get those accolades but still become destinations. We went to Faviken before it was in the world top 50, but back then it didn't have Michelin stars, and that's North Sweden, and we traveled all day, and it was a 24-hour journey. We stayed over, had dinner there, and it will be the most memorable experience of my life, and probably where I fully felt the kind of ethos of kind of an immersive experience. Is nothing like. Everything in that experience was extraordinary, like the lighting, the warmth, the wood, the everything, and then the theatre of how they delivered their menu was fascinating. But it also had a real natural honesty sort of to it, and it was very, very special. So I think places don't have to have Michelin stars to become destinations. Customers make them destinations ultimately by coming. So we'll leave that one to the gods, as they tend to call them in some of these films, and we'll see what they say about it all. But we love what we're doing. We love mostly the much more human connection with the farmers, and building the team, and I think if that gets recognized as being very, very special, that will be a wonderful achievement eventually.
It's just like Smoke. We just love hanging out and Smoke, don't we? And that's like, it's so popular, and it hasn't needed any kind of awards or anything like that. It's obviously well recognized, and Stuart's got amazing media attention over him, and rightly so. And then he's got his 3 rosettes this year. But there's something just special about it. But it also just so approachable, makes people feel at home. It's exactly what people want to eat. You want to keep going back. You want to make it a regular. And that's the interesting thing about stars and neighbourhood restaurants. And we've always wanted to create a neighbourhood restaurant, didn't we? And just Smoke gives us so much joy. And to see what Stu's doing there as well.
But as well, Michelin, when you look at where they've recognised outside of London and inside London now as well over the years, even when Andy Waters in this region sort of won a star back in Henley and Arden, scrub top tables, very honest. There's a lot of Michelin star restaurants that are like that are more like sort of that vibe of honest, sort of chef led, not fussy, not lots of complexity, and I think it's Sabor, places like Sabor in London, cooking real kind of soulful Spanish food. Neve was before at Barafina, and those types of places winning stars. That really excites me because there's no pretense. It's really honest. There's no, they're not trying hard. They are trying hard, but they're not kind of, they're not over engineering anything. They're letting the produce do the talking. It's incredibly delicious. And I think
you love Barafina basically because when you come up, there was a lovely lady who's like, come on, move up, everyone.
And a Michelin star counter, and you're getting moved up because we need to squeeze someone else in, and the food's cooked in front of you and it's got soul, and I think even in the kind of upper end of the Michelin spectrum of 2s and 3 stars, there are restaurants that have soul. I remember when we went to Franzen, the main course was a bird that had just been put in front of you, broken up into its parts, but you just ate it off the bone, with your hands, and this is a 3 Michelin star restaurant in the middle of Stockholm, and you're sort of like you're eating with your hands, and it's primal, and you're kind of like,
visually right. Like I always remember, like I spent a few months in India, and there was just something I loved about it because you ate with your hands. You ate everything with your hands, no matter how sloppy it was, rice, and you kind of had to work out how to do it. Nice little thumb flick.
Cutlery is a weird concept when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. Let's get rid of it.
It is though. It's like, I know it goes through dishwashers, but like, how clean is it? You're still sharing something that's been in somebody else's mouth. Also, I mean, nothing as high end as this, but I did work in places where when it was really busy and you were struggling for cutlery, you did just give it a quick spray. And
don't tell us the industry secrets. Don't reveal the place.
I mean, I worked at, hence the reason I don't work in hospitality anymore. But.
Breaking bread revolution. Let's start a revolution with breaking bread that there's no more cutlery
It's like a new experience, because you feel, I love it because you feel close to your food and it just feels like, get in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of multi-starred restaurants these days are letting you use your hands at different parts of the meal. And, there's all that is definitely becoming normal again, which is great. Michelin don't have rules about service and what an experience needs to look like. And I think people think they do, that there's this sort of tick list. But the message we've always had from Michelin is it's about the food. It's about the food. It's your house style. Your service is your house style. What you want to do, how you want to do it. Don't let anyone put you in a box. Like, be yourselves. And, and that is genuinely the message I've heard from, they don't say very much to you, Michelin, but they very much don't try and make you fit a mold. You look at some of the places in London winning stars like Brat, open fire cooking, I had a date with a woman I'd never met in Brat. I was actually gone out with Fiona.
You?
Well, you were sat opposite me, but you were much further away than the woman next to me. I was literally shoulder to shoulder with her.
Oh, I see.
Like, it was easier to talk to her than it was Fiona. I mean, literally, that restaurant, the amount, you're packed in like sardines, and it's busy, and it's got 1 star. A lot of people would walk in there and they'd go, oh, that's not Michelin star. You've got, you can't sit that close to somebody. You can't have tables next to each other like that. It's like there are no rules, they know what they want in terms of food. They're very clear about that. But when it comes to the experience and service, it's up to you to kind of shape the world and define it, I guess.
Was it Noma that changed everything, do you think? Because before that, it was all typically French, white tablecloths,
lots of cutlery.
And then it feels like Noma kind of might have teared that all up a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I think if you
in the design sense, they probably did. They stripped it back in design sense, didn't
even
they?
the service, I feel like maybe.
So now I haven't
they
had the joy
they used
of
to lean
eating
on
there.
the tables, and I don't know. If you go back to kind of the guide when it was, back in the days of it becoming what it is in France. I mean, French cooking, it does have an honesty, a whole fish or, whatever it might be. I think probably like those more provincial restaurants, you can probably find Michelin stars that are doing the honest thing and that don't have any of that kind of formality. I guess the TV probably pushed this white tablecloth sort of like polish, sort of professionalism, and even MasterChef a little bit. These sort of, they hype it up of like, you're going to this kind of like,
but it's all like you see the Savoy on TV, and it's all very much they're in suits, and you have to wear a tie to dinner and a blazer.
And I think people think that's Michelin, and actually it isn't. I think that's a tiny sort of proportion of what they do. I personally have found the Michelin Guide to be a very helpful tutor, because I think they keep you. The message I've always heard from Michelin is it's about the produce. Is it the best produce you can get your hands on? And it's about consistency. And it's also not about messing it up by like overcomplicating it. Like, if there's too many things on the plate, the chances are you're going to make a mess. So, keep it simple, make sure the produce is good, and make sure you've got the conditions to cook it consistently. And getting to that 1 star, a Michelin inspector once said to me, if you've got to learn to cook like the Roux brothers before you cook like Heston. Like, you've got to go through that process. And getting sort of 1 to 2 stars, like 1 is that sense of, look, I can cook, And that is, I can really cook. I can do this every time. Every plate of food that comes off my pass, that fish isn't going to be overcooked or undercooked. You know, that sauce is bang on. And it's beautiful. 2 stars is like, okay, now this has got some identity, some personality, you know, and it starts to become something that people recognize as a place in its own right. So I think the Michelin Guide's really a very helpful tutor and a very helpful guide in that sense.
Who got the email? Was it you or David?
David got the email.
Oh, did
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
How did it?
The first time we won a star, I never got an email either. I got a DM on Twitter from the editor of the Michelin Guide saying, can I call? And I had to call because that year we won the service award, and they wanted me to bring Craig Newman, who was our general manager at the time, and they said he'd been instrumental in their experiences. And sadly, actually, this week Craig is leaving us.
He's opening his own place though. James always said you've got to have started your own business by the time you're 30. So he's
just passed
just
it.
Passed it.
Yeah.
But he's opening his own pub. What's it called, James?
Oh gosh.
Where is it?
The Blue Moon.
Oh.
In Woolston. Is it Woolston? Yeah. It's definitely near Woolston because that's where I was born. I lived at, I spent my first years at Woolston, and Craig's pub is very near.
So it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, he was our general manager and just lived and breathed. And then, you know, there's few people that you go through in your life and they don't just work for you, they get alongside you. They kind of shoulder and care as much as you did. And Craig was certainly one of those people. And it's going to be really interesting to see him run his own venture. I think he's going to get in the kitchen, isn't he? He's always itching to get in the kitchen. But when he was like, anytime he could help the chefs out, he'd always be prepping stuff.
David's just actually helped me choose his knife roll and knife.
Oh, he'll have had it.
He's having it on Sunday, so I'm not giving anything away. So for his leaving present, he's getting a very nice set of knives and a knife roll. So yeah, it will be a really sad moment. Like Craig was 19 when he joined us as a chef de rang on the floor in the first ever version of Peel's, which was in our courtyard where we now do all our events and weddings. But that was where we first started Peel's Restaurant, and Peel's Restaurant eventually moved into the Manor House to create the conditions for really great cooking. We started off with a chef that had a Michelin star for 15 years, a guy called Martin Pern, and he was hugely influential on us. Again, like classical cook, amazing sauces. No doubt if we worked with him now, he would have probably won a Michelin star for us, but we didn't give him the right conditions. It was very difficult. Like, it was chaotic, our business, when we started. You know, it was a lot to do still, and it took time to find our stride and get the product right and get the kind of the business right. So Martin was a huge part of developing Rob and getting us to that first star, really.
I was just saying, how did David tell you?
How did he tell us? I think we just got a picture of the invite. Yeah.
I think they were all kind of like, they wouldn't like let themselves believe they got a star though until they'd announced, because they're like, maybe we just got a green star. Not just because that actually, I know, like John was saying, it means almost as much to him, because they've sowed so much effort into the supply chain,
and they're rare as well.
Yeah, they're
not
rare.
Many places get one.
No,
we haven't got one. That we
were, we thought very much that was the territory we were in. But I mean, we're very happy to get the first Michelin star over the line, and then hopefully Green Star's going to be high on the agenda for the next few years ahead to make sure they recognise the amount. I don't know what more you could do to this project to make it Green Star worthy, because it's definitely got all the right boxes ticked as far as I can see.
How did you come to owning the Hampton Manor?
So
was it always a hotel?
No, when we bought it, it was a care home. Had been. It was an empty care home. It had been a care home for 50 years, and when we walked onto this estate, it was lino floors, little sinks in the corners of the rooms.
Spooky.
I mean,
that just sounds
it
spooky.
Was
to me,
actually.
man.
I lived in it on my own.
No way.
And the doors were creaking, the floor, like the whole place was like, we ripped it apart with our friends, like literally, like, we were ripping up all the.
We lived in like one of the little rooms, didn't we, for about 6 months on bare floorboards and unplastered walls.
Well, you were in Manchester, weren't you? So
Yeah,
I was
I
on
was
my
commuting,
own, and
yeah.
there were no lights, and I had to walk to the village. And I honestly, like, coming back at night, like, if I'd been to the pub or anything, you'd be, oh yeah, it was. Yeah, because it was just so you know, it's a super old institution, and we had to completely gut it, new roof, new wiring, new plumbing, and we did it all in a year. We bought it without planning permission. 6 months we ripped it out whilst we were getting planning permission, and then we put it back together in 6 months, and we were trading within 12 months of having bought the estate. And I nearly died at the end. We went to Kefalonia on holiday. I literally lay on a sofa and read 6 books.
He was like a zombie. Like for about 2 years, he was like a zombie.
I had to escape, so I just went into my books. For like, I read about 6 books on that sofa.
You couldn't get a conversation out of him in between.
That holiday was where I fell in love with octopus, though. A proper tentacle of octopus.
I still remember
It's one of my
octopus.
favourites. I love octopus so much.
Can't beat it. Yeah, absolutely stunning.
Why did you buy it?
So
Why?
Octopus on that.
Yeah, great.
Not the
question.
octopus.
It was full of asbestos as well. We had to get all the asbestos out. We bought it because the pub that Mum and Dad bought, they had built 24 rooms there, a wedding venue. They'd grown it to be a very successful business.
They were
in
much
Worcester.
more successful than us.
They knew how to make money.
We
know how to spend it.
Yeah, that's what
they did an amazing job, and they sold it when we got married there. We were only 22. We got married there, and then they sold it, and we thought we were going to do our own careers. I was in the NHS as well at the time, working in management. And I just knew very quickly it wasn't right for me. I'd watched Dad build a business. I'd watched them, I'd loved hospitality. And I said to them, can we do a project together? But I'd never imagined going into food in the way we have. Like, I thought we'd start like a conference center. Not, that sounds a bit boring, but I had in my mind something quite fun and like really engaging teams and like a very cool kind of space. And we only ended up looking at this because it was in the right location,
Hang on.
Unique...
Your dad said, whatever you do, don't do a hotel or restaurant. Don't do anything that's 24 hours.
Yeah. That was the advice. So we bought this, and before we knew it, Fiona and I had been to cookery school in Dordogne, and we landed back in England, and that's when I first heard about Martin Pern. I was in the queue coming back into England, taking my answer phone messages, and Rob Purdy from Rationale left me a message and said, I know a chef that has had a star for 15 years, and we just come back from France,
we were
from
like
cookery
daydreaming.
school. We were like, Michelin-starred chef. So we were so excited, and he didn't answer my calls for 3 months. I literally hounded the man until eventually he answered
As I said,
call.
persuasive.
Yeah, and eventually he answered the call, and he came over a bit reluctant, didn't really want to do it, and then he fell in love with the place, and that was how our journey towards food sort of all started.
Because otherwise we'd have done a bistro, right? We probably wouldn't have like thought about going on that journey at all.
No, we wouldn't have. I just wouldn't know what we're doing. He guided us very much into kind of good food and good cooking. And it was all like, it was all Wild West back then. Like didn't know what we were doing. And we made great friends. I used to go and have coffee with Andy Waters in Edmonds in the old days. Like every time I had a chance.
Chef. He was the first Birmingham chef that took pity on us, basically.
Yeah. he was very kind to me. He was very kind to me. Took me under his wing a little bit, and so
I think everyone else was a bit like, "Who are these?"
Yeah.
Took a while to warm up to us.
It's a bit dubious until you get that first star. Like then they're suddenly, who are these guys out there? So we sort of started, but it was just like Mum and Dad had retired. They came out of retirement and helped us get the business going, and Mum was really helpful sort of launching the business, and Dad and I, we did a lot of work on the building together. We cut through the trees to build the drive-in together, and Dad's overseen a lot of the building work originally. So it was just like, what do we do next after they'd sold their business? And I fancied, 26 years old, I fancied a challenge, and I wanted to create a business.
Basically, we were young enough to be naive.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason it worked.
Yeah.
Like like in our 40s now, would we do it?
We're still wondering what we did. And we're still, like, we look back and we're like, what on earth were they thinking? Like, why did Mum and Dad let us do this? Like, what?
I think they're still
they're thinking that, but now we're thinking it. Like,
Would you say it's been more challenging than you thought it would be?
Oh my
immeasurably
goodness.
more challenging. Yeah, particularly the last 3 years. Yeah, I mean, it has been brutal. Like, Grace and Savor has been like literally like, I mean, we started building before COVID, and then, you know, we borrowed the money to build it, and then we went into the pandemic.
Oh, man.
And then we've had the war, and like, I mean, it has been incredibly difficult. And you know, we're lucky Mum and Dad were very conservative and never let us borrow very much money. Have always been conservative. So that has been instilled into the business. And, you know, we're probably able to just about weather the storms because of that. But I mean, the last 3 years have been hugely painful. I mean, I've had 2 breakdowns in the period. Well, not quite a breakdown the second time, but I knew I was close again, and I had to take some time off in the summer because of the
financial pressure, the
amount
massive.
of stress. Yeah, the amount of stress and financial pressure, and the first time I had a breakdown was actually just before the pandemic, and that again it had been 10, 12 years of slogging away at trying to get the business.
It's basically every
work,
quarter when you're approaching the financials, you just go into
just never work, you know, just wondering like, will it ever quite work financially? Because these estates are just sinkholes for money. And I think now we've done almost everything we need to do. We still also have managed to get another 25,000 square feet of development, which we don't want to touch, but we put the foundations in, so we've got it secured. It's not for us to develop. I think as a family, we've gone as far as we can, like, because it has taken a personal toll. You know, we've got to a point now where we love what we've created, but we probably need others that want to financially take the opportunity further, because it is, you know, I mean, we want to keep this in the family, but we've been worn down by the kind of the huge pressure of the last 3 years, and I think that's why when we started this interview, looking outside, seeing the sunshine and the garden starting to bloom, and having just won off, you know, a star after one hell of a slog getting this place open, there was that little bit of joy again, that little bit of hope, that little bit ability to dream again, you know, and I think, you know, we're all dreaming. And you know, Stu and I have been having some chats recently. He's dreaming. He's got some things up his sleeve as well. So, you know, there's dreams that are coming back, but it has been really difficult over the last few years. Yeah, probably. I mean, Fiona's been like literally kept the place going whilst I've been falling apart a lot of the time.
Well, our team have thankfully been solid as rocks for us. So and
our family, my brother-in-law and my sister, my brother-in-law Fraser's like been incredibly supportive through this period and helped run the team really when I've been struggling. But yeah.
So no more new restaurants.
No, absolutely not. No. At one point
don't believe him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Don't believe him.
No.
At one point we had 3 restaurants and 3 children under 10. And
well,
I'm
we
not
still
sure
have 3 children on. Well,
no, we don't
technically
anymore.
it's 110s now.
Yeah.
You haven't
110s.
packed off the children. You still have children.
I'm not sure what was harder, the 3 children or the 3 restaurants, but they were both really, really hard. So, yeah, it's been very, very, very difficult. But, you know, I think we need to, you know, acknowledge, you know, the whole industry. I've got friends running restaurants at the moment that are some of the best restaurants in the country, and I know the personal toll that's taken on them as well.
So sad.
You know, I know it's hard for consumers at the moment, but I just hope people do keep being faithful to the restaurants, because it is, you know, it's really tough. I was talking to someone at the Michelin Awards with a restaurant in the middle of London, got everything going for it, and he's just said it's really, really quiet, like dead. Like, where's everyone gone? You know, and
that was a restaurant in Chelsea.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing, is that if you kind of, some of these fine dining ones, you're betting on the fact that there's a certain category of their income which they don't ever stop spending regardless of the changes that the rest of us face. But it doesn't seem like that is holding. So even for that sector of the market, they are adjusting how they spend.
I feel like this is the first year where I looked at who's lost a star, and it's just the amount of restaurants that have closed with the star. It's like, God.
And I'm very sad to say I would not be surprised if that list isn't double what it is this year, next year, because you got debt from COVID. You've got you just don't know how to budget for a business at the moment.
Yeah.
Like the amount of change in the cost base is astronomical. And then if you've got a problem with consumers cutting back, then how can you put your prices up to adjust with the cost base rises? You can't. So you end up with a business that is very, very tricky to run. But it will come back, and I think the mid market and the higher end market will come back out again in force probably in the summer. I think everybody's been a little bit, what is happening and where is everything going to land? I'm hoping that the good news is people will get back out spending the disposable as quick as they can make it, and that we'll see that the restaurants are kept afloat by the loyalty of the market, and customers will come out in force again. So
gotta hope so, because it feels like we're always beating the drum for Birmingham, and we say how much it's improved since 2012. And then you just don't want to see that momentum just fall by the wayside and go back to being crap.
No. And you got places like Sturchley just being transformed. I just think for us, Sturchley's a destination really now. We're there to eat Vietnam, we're there to canny, we're there to the Chances Cafe, whatever it might be. There's just incredible couch, the Verbena, you just literally and they're the kind of, it's soulful, isn't it? Again, it's the kind of soulful part of Birmingham to go to now.
It's a vibe, isn't it? It's a nice.
It is.
It's all just. They're all very different places, but they're all the same people in each place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And there's so much soul in a lot of the food, Ming has been such a massive regular for us. And Dom actually from Canny comes and does a lot of our workshops here because he is the most
fun as well,
soulful guy on. And Canny is just if just everything he puts out there to eat is just delicious. But it's just, you can go with the kids, you can go for a date. We did our anniversary there, didn't we? I mean, I love what's going on, in Birmingham. But it's at every end of the spectrum. We need to see customers coming out more and enjoying themselves.
So we're coming up to we're over an hour.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have any plans you want to bring up in the future, or?
Yeah, well, I think, definitely follow Hampton Manor because we never stand still and we always have new ideas. We're going to have a new
I think our team wish we would.
Yeah, we're going to have a new little drinks terrace next to Smoke for the summer, which is going to open in May, which we're probably hopefully doing with an item.
James, I didn't even know that was being built. We talked about it and I went down this morning and they've dug up the whole place.
Yeah, it's coming soon. But no, I mean, we've got some incredibly talented people. Loic Cretel, who does all our drinks, he's inspiring. He's always working on ideas and plans, and Stu's got ideas and plans up his sleeve. And Stuart, winning MasterChef Professionals was one thing, but that boy's got so much more in him. And watch this space, Birmingham, because he is an incredible talent and someone that I will give absolutely every ounce of energy to supporting as a chef. Smoke has been such fun so far, and we're loving what he's doing. And he's getting better and better. Michelin tweeted about him just before the awards. We thought, is he close? As
I had a
concept.
sneaky feeling. I don't know what I said.
Yeah, we were rooting for him. He's that caliber of chef for sure.
Oh, really? 100%. He's cooked some of the best food I've ever eaten.
Yeah,
and he's working in a tiny kitchen.
Yeah, he doesn't have the space or the resource to really flex his muscles.
I've seen it like this booth. It's not.
No, exactly.
I don't know how he has quite a lot of chefs, given how small it is. I don't know where he puts them all, but they're like.
Do you know? And he never complains or grumbles. He
never has.
This is what
just gets on with it. Yeah, and he's opening for lunch Fridays and Saturdays as well now, so that's new. we'll see what's around the corner. David's going to be opening the cookery school at Grace and Savour. So that's going to be open for dinners in the evening. So guests can come for a kind of one-to-one with a chef and he'll be cooking for them. Not sure when quite yet, but it will be not far away. We're just looking for the right extra member of the team. And that will also be some sort of daytime experiences soon that we'll launch as well. So cookery at school experiences will definitely be on the cards soon. Yeah. And if we get a nice multi-millionaire that comes along and wants to put some investment in the planning permission, then you know where we are. So we'll see
Festival, that's what's going to be next. You're going to throw a festival.
A festival. There we go.
I'd love
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that would
I've
be
already got one
amazing.
planned in my head, a festival.
Yeah.
It'll be a moving festival.
A foodie moving.
Yeah,
festival.
so kind of
Yeah.
like a wilderness outdoor bit in the fields, coming through here for an experience, smoke, and the kind of like, I always love those moving dinners. Do you ever do one as a youth club when you were little?
No, I've not done this.
You went round for a start at one house, a main at someone else's, and a pudding. Loved that.
Oh, sounds interesting.
We need to do that. We just moved into a little estate. Actually, we need to do that with all our neighbours.
Oh yeah,
That'd
we
be
should
really
do that. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We do actually have one fine. Yeah, we do have something that's quite exciting. Which by the time
Oh goodness, do I know what it is, James?
you do know what this is.
I wish everyone could
and
see
as
that
this
look
is
off the
going
other's
out
face.
in May. As this is going out in May, I'm gonna let it out here on the show to be for a little bit of excitement. We have been working on an idea with Akhtar.
Oh, yeah, we know. Okay.
So obviously, any of your listeners that don't know Akhtar is the first chef in Birmingham to win a Michelin star for Indian cuisine, cooking the most amazing cuisine at Ophim. And Stu and Akhtar are creating a kind of convivial Indian banquet for some of our weddings. Yeah. So so you'll be able to have a wedding where Akhtar and Stu do this incredible banquet. And that's going to be specifically, so over the next 12 months, that partnership, that collaboration will be available. So that happens in our big courtyard. Most of our weddings are exclusive use because we either go in fully for leisure and guests are here eating and staying, or we focus on the big event. We do private dinners in our courtyard that aren't exclusive, so people can come here for birthdays and celebrations. But Akhtar's special product is going to be launched very soon, so keep your eyes out for that. And anyone who's tying the knot, you know where to come if you want something a little bit different.
I consider
Of course,
getting remarried.
you can have Stu's food in the Manor House. Stu does all the wedding menus for our normal weddings, but this is a little niche. So going to be fun.
That's awesome.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
We'll have some great beer with that as well. It's going to be get some good beers on tap. And what were you drinking tonight? You had the Gloucester. Yeah,
that
we've
was
got a very ethical
That was
beer.
incredible
We've been-
beer.
Yeah,
Take
it's
a
really
picture of that one
tasty,
and
wasn't
try and
it?
get some. That was really good.
It looked a bit like Cloudwater when we first picked it out David's fridge. He doesn't know we drunk it, so I'll make sure the stock takes update.
He'll probably get back. Not that one.
Yeah, a Gloucester beer that's very sustainable by the sounds of it. So, thanks for having us, guys. And,
Awesome. Really appreciate you both giving up your time, your evening.
No problem.
We'll just end on a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Oh, you got
No,
some more
you're not-
questions?
you're not finished
I
yet.
know we were there.
Carl has
Is
some quick questions. It catches you
This
off
is the
guard.
encore, is it? We all thought they're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Just super simple. Nothing to do with, well, somewhat to do with food.
Okay.
They're just about you and what you like.
Sure.
What's your favourite TV show? If you get any time to watch one.
Oh.
Fiona's always consuming box set.
I basically I quite like fantasy, so I'm like quite escapist. So I
what
love
fantasy?
I
Come
love
on,
the
which-
Rings, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Is that good? I've heard loads of people say it's really good.
Yeah.
Just like quite like Shadow and Bone, basically quite teeny, but
Do you watch The Witcher, sorry.
no, I didn't watch The Witcher.
That's really good. Really, really good. I enjoyed that a lot. That's worth watching. James?
Well, probably light relief. Maybe I'll go down the comedy route. We just, as we have last week, just been to see Peter Kay at the NEC. So
nice.
seeing him back on stage was pretty epic. And I do, occasionally to cheer myself up, go back to the, particularly the digestive Dunker. Oh man, I love that one. Absolutely love that one. Top of the list.
Perfect. You got a favourite movie?
Oh, that's too hard to choose. I really enjoyed The Swimmers recently.
That is such a good film.
Oh, such a good film.
Oh my
I
god!
heard of this one.
I told you about the Syrian girls.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
powerful,
yeah,
wasn't
you
it?
did.
Yeah. We
Sorry.
do watch
So
a lot of
powerful.
movies, and I'm dyslexic and have a really bad memory, so I can never remember them.
I watched that everywhere. Or what's it?
Oh, that was brilliant
I
as
watched
well.
that
yeah.
the other night.
Everywhere. What?
Everything, everywhere, all
Yeah,
at
that's
once.
it. I can never remember.
Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
said he sent me a
showed you.
picture of it and said crazy Chinese lady, as in like me. Just so you know, because I'm half Chinese. He's not being racist. But
I just
we're
recognised
firing.
some similarities in
Yeah.
the lady to my right. No, she won. What did she win? She won
Everything. She won everything.
She won the
I haven't
best
watched it
actress
actually.
and
I think I'll
Yeah.
really
Best
enjoy
supporting
that.
That's why I
actor.
sent it through to you, wasn't it? I said, like, look, look what
It's
she's
unlike
won.
anything I've ever watched before.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife was in bits, and next to me she had to stop it and go get tissues.
Oh,
It
really?
was
Right, we'll
incredible.
go home and watch
Oh,
it
wow.
tonight.
It made me laugh. It's
did,
just unbelievable.
I did, because I'd just been in Singapore recently and I had to go and do a binge on Michelle Yeoh, kind of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It just felt
That's a
right when
good
I was in
film as
Singapore.
well. I love that
Getting-
film.
I love the cinematography of the very poetic, all that kind of.
Yeah, I've rewatched it a couple of times, and every time I'm like, I forget there's a story here.
Yeah.
Like, you just watch it, and it's like,
Not too bothered about the story. It's just the beautiful.
do you have a favourite band or artist musically?
Mm.
Who's going to play the festival? Come on.
I've always liked Mumford and Sons.
Yeah, we went to see them at the NEC,
Yeah.
didn't we? Yeah, we went to see
They'll
them.
often be the one and I love Florence and the Machine.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, that kind of soul-rending, folky,
That's good.
bit shouty.
You probably don't eat it much, but do you have a favourite big fast food chain?
Well, do you want to know where we went after the Michelin Awards? I'm not eating meat because it's Lent, and I decided to not eat meat and dairy. But given we'd won a Michelin star, we allowed ourselves a treat. And on the way home, I did have 2 triple cheeseburgers.
Nice.
I did. It was incredible. Having not eaten meat for about 4 weeks, I just said to Fiona after the first one, I got to have one more to just mark this moment. So occasionally Mackie D's does rise up in
I do think that's the most popular answer in it.
One more. Yeah.
I think it's more about nostalgia,
It
isn't
is
it, from your
nostalgia.
kid?
It's
not,
that feeling of the
Yeah.
Golden Arches. You can't help it. And the
Still
founder,
like a
the
Five
founder
Guys.
was a good film. Actually,
Still-
I did
I
enjoy
prefer-
watching the
Yeah.
founder. That was a
Yeah.
great
more
film.
from like the. I love the way they did all the design their restaurants, and they were.
Oh, it's incredible. The story, in fact, the founder was awesome.
Oh, the film, the founder.
Found it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
loved it. Yeah, Stu watched it the other night. Actually, yeah.
I think that's
I
was
think I
it
told him
Michael
he got to
Keaton?
watch
Who was
it. He was like,
Who's the actor in it? Michael Keaton.
oh,
I can't remember his name.
can't
Never know
remember.
good
Oh.
It
names.
is, yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
Michael
I'm sure
Keaton.
it's
I haven't seen it, but I
Michael
think
Keaton.
it is.
Brilliant.
It's just so fascinating on so many levels, and it was entertaining film, wasn't it?
Just genius. What is it? Behind the Vatican, second biggest real estater in the world. or
Wow,
something.
Yeah,
wow.
it would be, wouldn't it?
Still so sorry for the first 2 brothers, because I mean their minds, like the way they marked out 3 months
Genius.
they marked out the restaurant on the floor of a tennis court, didn't they?
It was
And just
incredible.
moved things around as they knew they would get the slickest, fastest service.
Yeah.
Incredible, isn't it? Do you have any bars and well, I presume you do have bars and restaurants in Birmingham that you love? Anyone you want to give a
Well, I
particular
think we
shout out
mentioned
to? O-Theme's obviously one of them.
I mean, casually we'll probably go to like Can Eat and Eat Vietnam. I've got to get my Asian fix, you see.
I just love Eat Vietnam. I'm not joking. I go
Yeah.
and there's only one thing I ever get every single time, and that's the Marmite
Oh
peanut
yeah,
butter.
who
which-
doesn't?
Oh,
If
yeah.
he ever
Every time
takes
I
them
get
off
that.
the,
But just literally, I could just throw darts at the
Yeah.
specials board, and
Yeah.
just whatever they land on, just
Yeah.
send
But
it
we
over, it's
we have
fine.
to have every dish. Like
Yeah.
when I'm with Fiona, literally, like we normally go with friends.
we go
and
with my
do-
other Singaporean
it's-
friend
yeah,
who basically
every dish on the menu.
I
please.
can't go with someone who doesn't eat too much. You see, it just doesn't work for me. Like you got to get enough dishes on the plate to share.
Yeah.
It's like an Asian thing. You can't. I don't understand this kind of one plate to one person. No.
No, last time I was there, there wasn't room on the table. We had to
Yeah,
push stuff onto another plate to take a plate off to get it on. It was that busy.
I'm a bit disappointed if I've left something off the menu. It's like,
Yeah.
But even the stuff like you think I'd never normally order that, it turns up and you're like, this is the best aubergine curry I've ever had in my life. Like I don't believe it.
Yeah. No,
and then I do like to go to China Court for a ho fun.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
China Court.
Chinese fix. Yeah.
Where's that, China Court?
Oh, it's just one of the bigger restaurants in the Chinatown.
Oh, nice.
It's just for my home
The vibe.
thing.
Getting it in.
Yeah.
What's your favourite food destination in the world?
Oh, in the world. You're better at this. You've got to go to more places than me. Not that I'm bitter about this.
We've done a fair few.
He does too many bromances. Disappearing off with chefs, leaving the wife with 3 children.
Yeah, I just love discovering cities now through the wine bar scene, really. So actually in terms of destination, for me, if you're going to take a European city and then find I generally look for natural wine bars, and they normally always just do incredible food. And that's when I go to France, I generally look for a Bib Gourmand over a Michelin star most of the time, because it's good value cooking. Normally it tends to be younger, more progressive, quite exciting little wine bar stroke bistro-y kind of environments. But I'm definitely a wine bar man. I mean, for me, actually, we haven't talked about him tonight, but Sam Olive from Wine Freedom has had he was based out of the cellar here at Hampton Manor for a while, and has been a massive influence. I'm going to Spain with him in a few weeks' time, and we're going to see all the Rioja producers, a new wave of Rioja producers that don't tend to oak their wine. So Sam's been hugely influential, and he's helped me kind of really find these places.
But he's so engaging as well.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast.
Has he?
There
you
he's been
go.
on the podcast.
So
as well.
definitely needed a shout out for Sam today. But yeah, he's put he's instilled in me a lot of the ethos around the land and the soil and how we steward the land. And I think that's really sort of played up in the vision here over time, even before my sister had kind of got into it. So yeah, so generally wine bar destination.
One of our tricks
places.
is that we'll go to a wine bar and then we'll ask them where we should go to eat.
Next.
That's a good
That's
shout.
a good idea.
Yeah, literally, you just once you've found that niche. So same with specialty coffee. If I know it's a proper specialty coffee shop where they're doing roasting lightly, doing incredible coffee, I'll just say to them, "Where's the nearest wine bar that you'd recommend?" And it will always be a natural wine bar, and it will always be beautiful food. And then you just follow the lead. You can discover a city through coffee and wine bars now. I've realised, and never going to do it another way again.
Don't need to look at Lonely
Great
Planet
tips,
everyone.
That's a great tip.
And add it on next time I go away anyway.
Yeah.
Because they always know it better than you.
Yeah, and they tend to know the city
Yeah.
on quite an independent level
Yeah.
as well.
It's the grassroots. If you can get to the grassroots of the city, it just changes everything, I think. There's proper soul in these people. And that normally takes you to those areas where rent's a bit cheaper, there's people doing fun stuff, and it's what you need. Yeah.
Awesome.
Is that you?
Yeah, I'm done.
All
Brilliant.
done.
This time we are actually done.
No encore.
Thanks again for coming on.
Fantastic.
We do really
We're
appreciate
going to go
it.
to smoke now and have a quick couple of courses.
We're making the most of the day. This is a date night. We've got a babysitter in, so thank you.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
And I'm taking the kids to Cornwall at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Not so awesome.
needing Fiona to run the business. So.
Don't run the business. What's the our team do?
Brilliant.